please. After that, Dr. Manisha is here. Okay, after that you. Dr. Rinki would be talking on adding a new feather to your cap, overcoming the mind block.
So I'm going to share my experiences. When I was an SR, I was trained in cornea, cataract, refractive and ocular surface. So mainly I was an anterior segment surgeon. So after that, I was in AIMS at that time. After that, I joined Guru Nanak Eye Center, and there I made an attempt to learn strabismus and oculoplasty. So how and what experiences I have to share with all, my take on how to shift from an anterior segment to strabismus and oculoplasty is something that I would like to share today. So from where to learn. So whenever I started when I started of thinking that I have to make an attempt to learn strabismus and oculoplasty. So first we have to choose a high patient flow center. Thankfully, Guru Nanak Eye Center is a very, very high flow center. So you have many patients to learn and be open to all learnings. For example, learn from everybody, consultants, juniors, seniors, peers, patients, yourself, YouTube videos, everything. But then we have to understand that YouTube videos are a little passive. You cannot discuss things with them, so which you can discuss with experienced surgeons. So ask questions, ask everybody whatever you want to learn, clear your basics, and most importantly, there is no shortcut to it. You have to read renowned books. Okay, high impact journals, read anatomy again, because you have to start from anatomy in the beginning. Okay, you cannot escape that. Whatever YouTube videos you watch, whatever people you talk to, most important is reading by yourself. Okay. So then you have to focus on the examination. So as an anterior segment surgeon, the focus will be mostly on slit lamp examination. But in case of squint and oculoplasty, you have to examine the patient grossly in natural light. Because for example, this lesion you can see in natural light, the lesion is very much pigmented, but under slit lamp examination magnified view, the pigment is almost masqueraded. So you have to make sure that you understand this natural light examination importance. But still slit lamp examination is also mandatory in cases, because you may miss out marginal entropion, punctal stenosis and all, and you will always keep looking for causes. So then make sure you examine the patient in sitting position and not, and apart from, because entropion, ectropion, symmetry of iris, everything that can be measured better in a sitting position. So for example, when one patient I operated an entropion, ectropion, the patient had ectropion, and the moment that I made the patient lie down, I could not appreciate the ectropion. So at that time I understood the importance of examining the patient preoperatively in sitting position and planning at that time only. So syringing and probing holds very important part of examination in these cases. Whenever there is any lesion near your medial canthus, you have to always make sure whether the puncta and the canaliculus is involved or not. So for investigations from biometry, I shifted to imaging. So for anterior segment surgeon, I had this corneal topography, tomography and biometry, optical biometry. But here I had to focus more on ultrasound, B-scan. I learned water bath, ultrasound, UBM, color Doppler, MRI, CT scan, PET scan. And rarely sometimes I even I also performed ASOCT for muscle thickness and muscle insertions. So and apart from that, unlike only in anterior segment examination where we could focus on RBS and BP, here I had to focus on bleeding time, clotting time, platelet count, sometimes even PT-INR. So these all are important, and universal precautions hold more importance in this case, because there is a lot of blood oozing happening in this one. Then, as I said, examining position, you have to make sure you have to have the cooperation of patient during ptosis surgery for entropion, ectropion, to see how much of it is corrected at the same sitting, and you can augment it or change it in the same sitting when the patient is in the operating table. So most important in these cases is to set the expectations and outcomes. So you have to sit with the patient and talk to the patient yourself. Okay, unlike intraocular procedures which are sight-saving, extraocular procedure usually cosmetic. But yes, cosmesis does matter. Even if we have one pimple, we become so conscious. Imagine people living with squint and bad cosmesis for so many years. Their social life is completely destroyed. They do not get jobs. They do not get married. So that's why even maintaining cosmesis and giving the patient realistic outcomes, expectations, matching with them is also important. So you have to sit with the patient yourself. Hear what the patient desires and explain to them what you can offer with your procedure. So margin of error is a little more. You can let the natural healing take its course and still be a little less precise with it, unlike anterior segment procedures where you have to be more precise. With experience you obviously get more sophistication. So beginning, choose simple cases and then shift to more complicated cases. And most importantly, collect your own pre and post photographs for cataract and all, which will not be necessary, but here you have have to have a pre-operative photograph and a post-operative photograph, preferably in the same position, same lighting, same background, such that you can always show it to your next patients that this is the kind of outcome I am going to offer you. Then intraocular procedures as well as extraocular procedures both can be done at the same time, but and in extraocular procedures we usually operate both eyes together, either it is entropion or ptosis or squint surgeries and all. It is always preferable to operate both eyes together, unlike intraocular procedures where you operate one eye at a time. Okay. Then so shift piecemeal, small things matter. Shift in a small way, for example lying position. Okay. Then orientation, you have to shift from temporal to superior position for oculoplasty. For squint we'll have to change positions, sitting temporally and then right eye, left eye accordingly. Then anesthesia, you have to shift from topical to local anesthesia, learn to give infiltrative anesthesia, nerve blocks. Then cleaning and draping, where for intraocular we were using 5% betadine. Here we'll have to use a little higher concentration of betadine, 7.5% to 10%. Then we may not need operating microscopes. Many oculoplastic surgeons don't like using operating microscopes. You can use loupes, or you can also go for naked eye surgery. From 10-0 monofilament, very thin suture, you have to shift to silk and vicryl. So that was also a little change for me because they are braided, they leave threads and all. Then scissors also, from the smaller scissors, vanas, and I had to shift to conjunctival scissors, stenotomy. So completely change of my motions, hand movements was something that I learned. New ways of handling instruments. So most importantly that I faced a problem, lot of problem was blood. Unlike anterior segment procedures which were like very clean and neat, and next day there was no redness, it was all white. Here I had to see all blood, hematomas were forming, intraoperatively all the blood. So I had just learned in the beginning, I used to be scared, but then I learned I should not be scared of this blood. It's quite a normal part of the surgery. So preoperatively we have to prepare the patient in such a way that the patient does not bleed much intraoperatively. You can go for hypotensive anesthesia, sedation, control BP, adequate pain control. You can use adrenaline soaked swabs, cautery, pressure patch suture, and then especially in case of DCR, nasal packing with xylometazoline, adrenaline soaked swabs, they really help. So try to control bleeding in the preoperative phase, but if it is not possible, then intraoperatively don't be scared of blood. It is a part of normal process of squint and oculoplasty surgeries. So this is the previous work that I have done, removing pterygium, managing PUK with conjunctival recession and AMG. This is caruncular mass excisions, even medical management of microbial keratitis. This is the case of fungal keratitis which heal with medical management. This is PKP with SFIL that I have done before. And from there shifting to oculoplasty procedure. So you can see that I have this patient, one patient was there young patient who had hemangioma, and then I excised it and it was quite healing well. This is 6 weeks photograph. A ptosis surgery patient, you can see favorable outcome in patient with senile ptosis. Then this was bilateral entropions that I operated. This is one more patient with blepharoplasty. This patient was having punctal occlusion because of this fat pad prolapse. For him I did blepharoplasty, and then the patient had quite a relief in watering. So this I started with these large angle squints first. You can see, and then I shifted to very small angle squints, complicated ptosis with squints, sling surgeries and all. And I started having quite a reasonable outcomes. I used to get my cases checked with others in the field, for example, oculoplasty surgeons, whoever I had SRs or JRs or whoever were more experienced in that. And then I used to ask them, what else can I do? What else can be more? I used to show the patient before planning surgery what can be done. So even combined surgery, we can then I started moving to combined surgery, where I used to do extraocular procedures first. Then with little less manipulation, especially during squint, you should make sure there is no scleral perforation, because in that case hypotony will be there and you cannot do the intraocular procedures. Wet the cornea, don't forget the cornea in these procedures, because you have to perform an intraocular procedure. So these kind of surgeries are quite cost effective and lead to less visits for the patient, less post-operative morbidity and all. So then you can offer both of them, vision plus cosmesis to the patient in one go. Squint surgeries can be specially undertaken in post-amblyogenic age, where we don't expect much of improvement in vision. So I previously published this paper, Triple Procedure for Coexistent Aphakia, Squint and Iris Defect, where we undertook strabismus correction, glued and single pass 4-through pupilloplasty. This was like when I was an SR in 2022 or 2020, I got it published. At that time I did not do the squint, but now I can tell you that if somebody asks me to do this, I'm self-sufficient in doing this, all the 3 procedures. So this is what makes me feel proud. Okay, these are the combined procedures that I have done. This was a young female with bilateral aphakia for congenital cataract. She was operated with squint. I did squint surgery with secondary eye implantation in the same sitting. This was another Buddha Baba with paralytic squint from facial palsy, where I did ectropion, lateral tarsal strip, lateral tarsorrhaphy, and AMG procedure together, and he was quite responsive to that procedure. This was another patient who had acute trauma, and after that I did lens aspiration with corneal repair, SFIL, and
Dr.
cheek trans-
Rinki, your time was over. 2
Yes,
minutes
yes, I
before,
just.
please.
So final take is that what matters is that you should be open to new learning. It's not just acha dekhna, but acha dikhna also matters. So my entire viewpoint changed from just vision to even cosmesis, which I thought was not significant before. So experience is best learned, and it's not just taught. You have to make an effort for it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Rinki. Your transition story was very enterprising, very inspirational. Normally, what happens in a private practice scenario is, as a surgeon, you have reached the pinnacle in whatever field. And then when you take up something which is absolutely diverse, obviously there is a learning curve involved. And if one is not able to deliver equivalent results, it becomes a sort of a mental setback for the surgeon.
Definitely, sir.
And these are all private practitioners. But I'm really amazed that, you have, overcome all these things without much problem. And it's not very often that, this kind of, expertise or enterprise is seen. Very good presentation.
Thank